Antwerp might just be Belgium's most underrated city, so I decided to find out whether it was really just a day trip destination or if it deserved a longer visit. I traveled from Frankfurt to Antwerp by train, and the trip took about 4 hours in total. First, I took one of Germany's high-speed ICE trains to Brussels. Then switched to a short regional connection that brought me straight into the center of Antwerp. On the train to Antwerp, about 15 minutes away. This is a trip I've been wanting to take for a really long time, and I'm super excited because as soon as you get to Antwerp, you see Antwerpen Centraal, which is this beautiful train station in an Art Nouveau style. So I really do feel like the trip is going to begin as soon as I disembark from this train, which is super exciting. The trip from Frankfurt was no problem. We were a little bit delayed. All that did was kind of shorten the connection time. I was still able to make my connecting train in Brussels with no problem. I was doing a little bit of research on Antwerp during the train ride, and just very interesting to me that so many people treat Antwerp like a day trip. We're going to be here for 3 days, a nice long weekend, 72 hours in Antwerp. I'm very curious. Yeah, it's a city that so often people just add on to an Amsterdam trip or a Brussels trip. I feel very lucky that we're going to be able to spend a little more time exploring and discovering different parts of Antwerp. So good vibes here at the start of the trip. First stop, Antwerpen Centraal Station. Opened in 1905, its soaring iron and glass train hall and opulent stone facade embody belle epic ambition. Later, it was blended with sleek, modern train platforms. For many travelers, it's their first glimpse of Antwerp, and it sets the bar really high. I stayed at Hotel O, right next to the Cathedral of Our Lady. This Gothic cathedral took centuries to complete, and its interior features masterpieces by Peter Paul Rubens, Antwerp's most famous painter. My room wasn't quite ready for check-in yet, so I took a stroll through the Zuid neighborhood, Antwerp's trendy south side. Stay tuned for day 2, when I'll visit 2 of this district's most popular cafés. Grote Markt is Antwerp's historic main square and modern, festive pulse. At the center is the Brabo fountain, showing the Roman soldier Silvius Brabo. Legend says he defeated a giant who taxed sailors on the river Scheldt, cut off its hand, and threw it into the river, giving Antwerp its name, from handwerpen, to throw a hand. I did some more browsing and a bit of vintage shopping before heading back to my hotel to see if my room was ready. Then I met up with my friend Smith and we grabbed a couple New York-style slices for lunch. We were both starving, and this spot was delicious. After lunch, we headed to the Plantin-Moretus Museum. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the former home and workshop of Christophe Plantin, a pioneering 16th printer. Inside, you can still see the oldest surviving printing presses in the world. But for me, the real stunner is the courtyard garden. Just absolutely lovely. Next, we headed to Rubenshuis. On the way, we passed the Dries van Noten boutique, one of the legendary Antwerp 6 designers who put the city on the design map. When we got to the Rubenshuis, we learned that the residence is currently undergoing a major renovation. There's an exhibition about the famous painter, but we opted to wander the garden instead. This was Rubens' actual home, and the Renaissance-style garden feels like a peaceful escape. Afterwards, we wandered over to Ludite's Books and Wine, a delightful little bookstore with a cafe on its top floor. We sat outside and enjoyed a few cocktails. So it's about 6:30 on our first day. I love getting to destinations early. I really appreciate something about like a 6 a.m. train out of Frankfurt that gets me to wherever I'm going if it's 4 hours away by like 10 a.m. The caveat to that is I usually am up at like 5 a.m. I don't have time to do makeup, and that's okay. But by about 6 o'clock, once I'm in destination, like just dragging. Luckily, our dinner reservations for tonight are not until 8:30. That gives me enough time to attempt a nap, take a shower, do something with my appearance, and hopefully be rejuvenated and refreshed and like ready for dinner. So far, I'm really, really a fan of Antwerp. I can't believe that people do this city like just in one day. So I think I already know what the answer to my question is going to be in terms of, is Antwerp a day trip or is Antwerp, a little bit longer of a visit? Super happy with the first day and excited to keep it going with dinner tonight. For dinner, it was traditional Flemish cuisine at De Botaniek. One thing I love about Belgium are all of the non-alcoholic beer options, like the Stella Artois 0.0 I had here. After that, we stopped at a nearby pub for the final beer of the night. I started my second day in Antwerp with a hotel room coffee and a quick scroll of the news. I also tried to pack most of my things into my bag so that housekeeping could get in and out quickly. I decided to walk down to a couple bakeries I saw all over social media, Café Cannelé and Funk. Both were cute, but I liked the novelty of Café Cannelé a little bit more, and it wasn't as busy as Funk. They're both on the same block, so take your pick. Smith met up with me and we headed to Den Botaniek, Antwerp's botanical garden. Seriously, I love all of the urban gardens here in Antwerp. It's a small but charming green space dating back to the 19th century. From there, we walked to the Handelsbeurs, often considered the world's first purpose-built stock exchange. It was originally constructed in 1531, but more recently it sat empty for about 20 years, locked and abandoned until a renovation led to its reopening in 2019. Today, it's an event space, and it also houses the restaurant Fira, where we had lunch. After lunch, we hopped in an Uber towards the Axel Vervoordt gallery. Vervoordt is a celebrated Belgian interior designer known for his minimalist, wabi-sabi inspired aesthetic. Psst, he also designed Kim Kardashian's house. His gallery sits a bit outside of Antwerp in a converted industrial site that's open to the public. There was so much to discover here. It is absolutely a must for art and design lovers. Smith had an early flight the next day, but he wanted to swing by the Royal Museum of Fine Arts Antwerp, or KMSKA. We had about 40 minutes to admire the collection before they closed for the day. I went back the next day though, so keep watching for more about this museum. I absolutely loved it. From there, we walked through Zuid Park and then settled at an outdoor cafe to decompress. We walked back towards Grote Markt and then over towards the river, which was absolutely beautiful at golden hour. We saw Hetstein, a medieval fortress that now serves as the visitor center, and from there we headed north of the city for a bit of nightlife. On the Uber drive, we passed the Port House, which was designed by Zaha Hadid, no relation to Bella and Gigi. Antwerp has a lively nightlife scene, and we had booked tickets for a rooftop party held at Brisa, Antwerp. It was a bit cold on the rooftop, but eventually the party moved downstairs. The DJ was good and the vibe was fun. We both laughed about how in Europe, they don't just hand you a gin and tonic when you order it. They also give you the half-empty bottle of tonic. We were famished, so we grabbed a quick street food dinner of hot dogs and frites. We'd popped into De Muze, a chill jazz club, the night before, but it was a bit busy. Luckily, this time, there was plenty of space and a great jazz band playing. To kick off day 3, I had a small breakfast at Ray's Coffee next to our hotel. Smith had to leave, so I bid him adieu and then headed back to the hotel to check out of my room and leave my luggage with the front desk. This was such a pretty day. I set out to snap some photos of Antwerp and explore some more hidden gem areas of the city. First up, Vlaeykensgang. This medieval alleyway is tucked away from the crowds near the cathedral. I love secret spots like this, where you can get a real feel for what this place was like centuries ago. After that, I walked over to Wesenbekestraat, also known as Antwerp's Chinatown. It's compact, just a few blocks, but vibrant, with markets, bakeries, and restaurants serving some of the best Asian food in the city.
Right now I'm in the Chinatown area and it's fantastic. So I just finished lunch at Plantin-Moretus Cafe, which is a Tibetan restaurant that I kind of came across. It has fantastic reviews. It was very, very good. I love a good dumpling, and I was able to get momos as well as a soup that had dumplings in it, so I was in heaven. My friend departed this morning, so I kind of have the rest of this day, my third day in Antwerp, all to myself. It's a beautiful day. It's probably the first really fantastic day that we have had here, where it's not too cold and it's not too overcast. So I'm looking to really take advantage of the great weather. I have been out all this morning, taking photos and just checking out parts of the city that I necessarily haven't seen before. My train back to Frankfurt is in the afternoon around 5:30, so it's 1 o'clock now. I am going to honestly go back to the Fine Arts Museum. When we went yesterday, Smith and I only had 45 minutes and, more like 40 minutes, because eventually they come and kind of kick you out 10 minutes before closing. It's a little on the pricier side. We love a good €8 or €12 museum. This one is €20, but I don't even care. It's that good. I'm gonna go back. But honestly, this is not a day trip. You can do day trip things in Antwerp if you are traveling from Brussels up to Amsterdam, but if you really enjoy architecture, design cities that have a really cool, youthful, fun vibe, or shopping. The shopping here is phenomenal. Whether you are shopping for fashion or interiors, just really, really fantastic shops and galleries. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to me that this is definitely a longer trip. It's not a day trip. I mean, just look at this. One of the largest Chinatowns in Europe. Just hanging out here in Antwerp.
I grabbed some cold brew from Andy Roasters and then walked over to Het Bootje, a whimsical example of Art Nouveau architecture that features a corner balcony shaped like the front of a ship.
Since we didn't have much time at the Fine Arts Museum yesterday, I circled back to KMSKA to spend more time with the collection. The museum recently reopened after an 11-year renovation, and the collection spans everything from Flemish masters like Rubens and Van Dyck to modern works by James Ensor and René Magritte. In fact, they have a full Magritte exhibit coming up in November 2025 and running until February 2026. I loved this digital immersion gallery that they had, as well as these playful Christoph Koppens installations that riff on elements from the collection, but in a more daring way. This turning hand was practically silent, and so many patrons didn't even clock that it was moving. After the museum, I grabbed some gelato and began to make my way back to the hotel to grab my luggage. My final stop in Antwerp was this magazine shop. I wanted to grab a few design magazines to read on the train back. The perfect way to bring a bit of this European design capital home with me, don't you think?